The thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Signing autographs. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
Well, the Frostbite Falls daily paper, the Picayune Intelligence, really started something when it buried a pot containing $1 million in Confederate money. As a sales booster, the idea was a smash. People stood in lines to get the latest edition with clues as to where the pot could be found. But it wasn't a very good idea for the town, for treasure hunters had soon dug Frostbite Falls full of deep holes and tunnels. Of course, nobody minded when the statue of General Bumble fell from sight, or when a string of light poles suddenly dropped 10 feet.
Makes the light better for reading.
But they began to change their minds when a whole housing tract called Mountain View Homes sank to roof level. But the citizens really got up in arms when the crumbling surface began to affect the baseball scores.
Strike!
But that pitch was on the ground, Dump.
I don't care. It came across right at your belt buckle.
Soon an angry crowd collected at the newspaper office demanding the pot be dug up and the contest called off.
I'd be happy to oblige good people, only
Only what, McCornpone?
I can't remember where I buried it.
And so the search went on. The only two people in town who weren't concerned were Rocky Squirrel and his pal Bullwinkle, for the moose had been ordered not to dig anymore.
I just can't stand it, Rock. I know I could find that pot.
Maybe you better go visit your relatives in Ponca City, Bullwinkle. That'll take your mind off the treasure.
Yeah, guess maybe you're right.
And the despondent moose packed his straw valise and started out of town on his bicycle. On the way, he passed what seemed to be a very earnest group of diggers.
Find anything, fellas?
Not yet, but it won't be long now.
Well, good luck.
And Bullwinkle pedaled away, little realizing that those diggers were in reality an evil gang called the Light-Fingered 5-2. Their leader was that all-round thief and safecracker Boris Badenoff.
Please, Babyface Braunschweiger, the Minnesota Monster.
Well, Babyface was really digging beneath the Farmers and Swineherds National Bank in order to rob it.
How much farther we got to go, Babyface?
Should be there now, Spike. Swing pickaxe one more time. Didn't I told you? Get the dynamite ready.
Meanwhile, back in his little cottage, Rocky was already getting lonesome for Bullwinkle.
Gee, I sent him off all by himself. Suppose he gets lost. I'd better follow him.
And the soft-hearted squirrel started off to find his friend. Unfortunately, the first place he stopped was the hole being dug by Babyface's gang.
Hey, any of you fellas see a moose go by here?
Hey, Babyface, you know who that is?
Do I know who that is? Oh, boy, do I know who it is.
That's Rocky the Flying Squirrel. He's rough on rats. We better get out of here.
Nonsense, Nick. Invite the little chappie into the hole, Three Finger.
The boss wants you should come into the hole with us.
I'm sorry, but I can't. Whoop!
The boss wants you should come into the hole.
Oh!
And in a twinkling, our hero was bound and blindfolded.
Now, Slog, if you will be so kindly to light the fuse, we will be on our way.
Gee, you're gonna use the same dynamite to break into the bank and blow up the squirrel?
Well, you know, it's a low-budget show.
That voice. Where have I heard that voice?
Well, it looks as if Rocky has only a few seconds to remember, for the fuse leading to the dynamite is growing shorter and shorter, and so, unfortunately, is our time. Be sure to see our next episode, Sweet Violence, or The Yeg and I.
Having fun, son?
Hi, Pop.
How do you like Plato's watermelons?
Watermelon? Oh, this.
Yes, that. We have watermelons at home, you know.
But they're not as good as these.
That's the old story. Stolen sweets are sweeter. I'm going to teach you a lesson, Junior, and I suppose the best way is to relate a fable.
Yeah, I suppose so.
This is the fable of the fox and the owl. In a certain village in a certain forest, there was a certain fox who continually broke the law.
That's a pretty nice pane of glass you got there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ordinarily, I'd sentence you to a week in the pillory, but seeing as it's be kind to foxes week...
Nice pane of glass you got there.
You again. You learned your lesson?
I sure have.
Are you looking for trouble, Fox?
Not me, Your Honor.
I've got a good mind to give you 2 weeks in the pillory. However, it happens to be kind to window breakers weekend.
Well.
Fox, you get out of here.
Oh, come now. Twice burned, once shy.
You mean you're cured?
Hopelessly.
This isn't be kind to anything week. Therefore, I sentence you to 1 month in the pillory.
Gee, thanks, Judge.
No doubt by now you're wondering why the fox sought imprisonment in the pillory. The answer was simple. He liked the food. Here the citizens tossed all sorts of goodies, and the fox waited until they departed, and then he ate like a king. However, one day, something strange happened.
Hey, what gives with the rock?
For some strange reason, the citizens threw rocks instead of food. You can't eat rocks.
That does it. I'll find my sustenance elsewhere.
And so he departed. In the middle of the forest, there dwelled an old owl. Not a wise old owl, just an old owl. However, he had one special talent, cooking googleberry pies.
Is my stomach deceiving me? Or is that a googleberry pie yon owl is fondling?
Mercy me, someone's at the door.
Well, I'm here. You can go to the movie now.
Who are you?
I'm your pie sitter, that's who. I'll sit and mind the pie while you take in a show.
Fine. I'll try not to be too late. You just make yourself at home and... Wait just a cotton-picking minute.
Didn't fool you, did I, Pop? You never heard of pie sitting, did ya?
Oh, I heard of pie sitting all right, but I went to the movie last night.
Undaunted and dedicated to getting that googleberry pie, the fox tried another plan.
Ho, ho, ho. It is I, Santa. Ho, ho, ho.
That's funny. Here I'm getting ready to celebrate 4th of July, and Santa's coming down the chimney.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Well, bless my soul, it's Santa Claus.
Deck the halls with hocks of holly.
You got a present for me, Santa?
This year we're going to do it different. You give me a present.
Anything specific in mind?
How about a googleberry pie?
All righty, and I'll tell you what, we'll even put a candle in it. Here, you hold the candle, and I'll light it.
I got a funny feeling I'll be home for Christmas.
Oh, no, not the pie sitter again.
Quick, let me in. There's thousands of Indians out there. We're hopelessly surrounded.
Indians? Where?
Thousands of them, maybe hundreds. Whew. I've been fighting them off all day. Say, you don't have a bite of food for a hungry soldier, do you?
Just that googleberry pie over there.
Mind if I take a bite or two?
Help yourself. I'll get my rifle and keep a lookout for redskins.
You do that. What the devil's going on?
Indians, they're attacking.
Oh, come off it, Pop. You know there ain't no Indians out there.
Giving up the cause as hopeless, the fox returned to the village. But it was there in the square that he saw an organ grinder and his monkey.
That's a boy. Go get her the loot.
The fox watched in amazement as the little monkey obeyed and climbed all over the square, returning with the kind offerings.
I'll give you $50 for King Kong there.
It's a deal.
With the little monkey under his arm, the fox returned to a spot just a stone's throw from the owl's thatched hut.
Okay, boy. You run into that hut and bring back the googleberry pie.
The monkey took off while the fox held on to his leash. Moments later, he felt the leash slip.
He got it. He got it!
He reeled in with all he had. Unfortunately, it wasn't the monkey with the pie at the other end. It was the owl with a gun. And that ended the fox.
Some fable, Dad.
And I hope it taught you a lesson, Junior. Just remember the moral. Stolen sweets are sweeter.
I got a better moral, Pop. A fool and his monkey are soon parted.
Eeny, meeny, chilly beany, the spirits are about to speak.
Are they friendly spirits?
Friendly? Just listen.
And now, here's that man with a master touch, Mr. Know-It-All.
Thank you, and hello, lovers of the touched. Today we take up the contents of my set of books on how to take your covered wagon through the West while being attacked by over 2,000 savages. They had to put my name on the back. No room. This wagon, as you can see, is covered with a special material that is absolutely resistant to all the weapons Indians use. It resists arrows, tommyhawks, spears, in short, everything the Indian ever employs. Well, just about everything. Next, we have the disguise your wagon method. For this, you simply need a wagon and an old used racing car. And you go safely through the Indian territory with no one knowing you have a covered wagon. You mean I won? Last, but the most foolproof, is the balloon method. One simply takes off from the east and floats gently over the Wild West in a balloon filled with non-inflammable helium. Or was it inflammable hydrogen? I know, I'll look at this little teeny label on the balloon and...
Gee, Mr. Know-It-All, your book sure sounds exciting. Can I get a reservation for one of them?
Hop in here with me, Rock, and I know we'll get a reservation.
Hello out there, Peabody here. Today, Sherman and I are going back to the year 1900.
What was happening then, Mr. Peabody?
Oh, quite a number of things, Sherman, but we shall concentrate on a gentleman named John Holland, who invented one of the first submarines. We entered the Wayback Machine and were immediately transported to a dock just off Long Island Sound. At the end of the pier floated an ungainly-looking object. As we neared it, a hatch suddenly popped open, and up came John Holland.
If you're from the Navy Department, you may as well go home. My submarine is a failure.
What do you mean, a failure? Won't it run?
Oh, it runs all right, but not like a submarine. Watch.
Reaching below, Holland started the engine, then pulled the lever which caused the submarine to dive underwater. However, this submarine did just the opposite.
Golly, Mr. Peabody, he's got a helicopter.
Turning off the power, Holland returned to the surface.
That's my problem. I'm supposed to test this ship for the Navy, but they'll never buy it if it won't go underwater.
What time is the Navy supposed to be here?
2.
Then we haven't much time. Quickly, we'll search for rocks.
Rocks?
Ballast, Mr. Holland. If we can get enough weight into your helicopter...
Submarine.
Oh, sorry. Why, then it will descend. Thanks to the rock-bound Atlantic coast, we procured all the ballast we needed. The submarine went under. And so did the pier, and so did Sherman and I. Heavy rocks they have in these parts. Holland surfaced his craft, took us aboard, and drove into shore. And who should be standing there but 2 admirals from the Navy Department?
Ahoy there, Holland. Get ready for a trial run. Keep underwater for exactly 1 hour and we'll buy your ship.
John Holland insisted that Sherman and I go with him, and we agreed, knowing, of course, it would make a better story.
I'm all set to pull the descent lever. Hope she goes down and not up.
She will. And she did. We reached 30 fathoms in nothing flat.
Oh, Mr. Holland, is your sub always as wet as this?
Oh, gracious me, I must have left the tub running.
What he really did was leave the hatch open. By the time I closed it, we were practically waterlogged.
Never fear, I'll have this water out of here in a jiffy.
With that, Holland rushed to the nearest porthole, opened it, and began bailing at a breakneck pace.
Mr. Holland, sir, I think more water's coming in than out.
Sherman was right. It was up to me to solve the problem. In the sub's galley, I came across 14 old tea kettles. I didn't bother to question their value, but instead set them to perking on the stove.
Are we having tea, Mr. Peabody?
No, we're having steam. Inside of 30 minutes, I had boiled away every drop of ocean in the sub.
It's getting late. We better surface or else we'll miss the Navy's deadline.
Sherman and I both agreed, but the submarine didn't. It wouldn't budge.
I'm giving her all she's got. You'd think that something was sitting on us.
A most accurate assumption. Something was using us for a chair. The largest and most ferocious-looking octopus I'd ever seen.
Let's face it, we're trapped.
Don't you worry, Mr. Holland. Mr. Peabody will get rid of that octopus.
What do you think I am, Sherman? Marine land? I puzzled over the problem for what must have been a good 3 seconds, and then acted without hesitation. I need a fishbowl and a fountain pen.
The fishbowl I can understand, but a fountain pen?
You're gonna ride underwater?
Something like that. I inverted the fishbowl, wore it over my head like a diver's helmet. Then, with the fountain pen in hand, I opened the hatch, climbed out, and marched forward to meet my adversary.
Be careful, Mr. Peabody.
Yes, that's the only pen I've got.
The octopus glowered and came at me. Then, instead of attacking, he produced 8 tennis balls and proceeded to juggle. I knew that in order for us to get away, I must prove myself superior to him in every way. I borrowed the tennis balls, added 3 clams and a lobster, and juggled right back at him. Needless to say, he became quite infuriated. Now, an infuriated octopus invariably blinds his victims with an inky fluid. Then he attacks. Before he could do so, I aimed my fountain pen and let him have a 1-week supply of indelible ink right between the eyes. I had beaten him to the draw.
Congratulations, Mr. Holland. You surfaced at exactly the prescribed time. The Navy will buy your submarine.
And so, as Sherman and I watched from the shore, the admiral sailed the submarine away. As for John Holland, he wasted no time in moving to a beach in New Jersey where he constructed a submarine 9,000 feet long.
9,000 feet long? He must have sunk.
It did. And so he merely cut off both ends and made a tunnel out of it.
Really, Mr. Peabody?
Why, of course. You've heard of the Holland Tunnel, haven't you?
Well, things looked bad for our hero last time, didn't they?
You said it.
Rocky has been blindfolded and tied up in a hole under the Farmers and Swineherds National Bank right next to a charge of dynamite with a burning fuse.
You said it.
And the fiend behind all this is Boris Badenoff, alias Babyface Braunschweiger, the Minnesota Monster.
You said it. Come on, fellas. Last one out of the hole is a dead squirrel.
Quickly, the gang scrambled to safety, leaving Rocky alone with the dynamite.
Gee, if I can just get to the fuse, maybe I can put it out.
And the fearless squirrel inched his way toward the sound of the sizzling fuse. First, he tried sitting on it.
Ow! That'll never do.
He even tried to pull the fuse out of the dynamite, only to find that it was a lot longer than he thought.
Gee, I guess I'm really a goner this time. Help! Help!
But the wily Babyface Badenoff had roped off the area above, and no one could get near enough to hear Rocky's cries. Meanwhile, on his way to Ponca City, Bullwinkle was pedaling slowly up the slopes of George Washington Hill.
Boy, this is quite a grade. Needs a little more moose muscle.
But just as Bullwinkle stood up to push hard on the pedal, his bicycle chain snapped. And Bullwinkle's bike began to rush backward down the hill at frightening speed. Of course, still facing forward, he had no idea where he was going.
Sure I do. I'm going down.
But you can't see where you're heading.
On the other hand, I get a grand view of where I've been.
Meanwhile, in the hole under the bank, Rocky watched in desperation as even the now lengthened fuse grew shorter and shorter.
Shh. Hey, Babyface, that fuse is taking an awful long time.
Somebody might go down and rescue that squirrel. Nonsense. Nobody but idiot would go near hole with those signs around it.
But at that moment...
Gangway! Look out wherever you are!
And Bullwinkle's speeding bicycle crashed through the guardrail and right down into the hole.
Who is it? Who's there?
I'm not sure, but I think it's me.
Well, who's me?
Who's you? You's a Rocky the Flying Squirrel.
Bullwinkle, you've come to save me.
I have? I have!
In a twinkling, Bullwinkle had freed Rocky, and our two friends scrambled wildly up the ladder as the fuse burned shorter and shorter.
So nobody but an idiot would go down there, eh, babyface?
Well, look at him.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
They must have put out fuse. Come on. Remember, he who hesitates is lost.
And the gang climbed into the hole again.
You got any other bright sayings, babyface?
Of course. You can't keep a good crook down.
Golly, Bullwinkle, those fellers are going to rob the bank.
Oh, that's terrible!
You know what we got to do, don't you?
Sure, we gotta withdraw our money quick.
No, we got to warn them.
Why? They know they're gonna rob the bank.
No, we have to warn the people in the bank. Come on.
Oh, that's very astute of you, Rocky.
You mean astute, Bullwinkle.
You may be astute. I'm astute.
Well, that was certainly true enough, for Bullwinkle's way of warning the bank was to rush in and shout,
"Hey, everybody! It's a stick-up!"
Instantly, the bank guards began firing at our friend.
That was the wrong thing to say, Bullwinkle.
Boy, some people are sure touchy.
And as our heroes crouched under a hail of lead, in the basement below, the light-fingered 5-2 was once again hard at work carrying off bag after bag of greenbacks.
Correction, that's green bucks.
Be sure to be with us next time for Many a Thousand Gone, or the Hall of Fame.
Well, it looks as if our time is just about run out.
Just enough left to tell them who the sponsor was.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop.
We're late again, Bullwinkle.
Right.
Bye now. See you next time.